A friendly welcome to all of you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Stephen L. Goodman, born in Bolton Landing, late of Chester, and more recently of Glens Falls. I was born in 1817. This is my son, Samuel Boyd Goodman, born in Chester, raised there for his toddler years, and in Glens Falls for the rest. We are part of the famous Goodman family of Bolton Landing.
My toddler years. I was named Samuel for my grandfather and Boyd for my grandmother's families, which were made up of the Tuttles and the Boyds. Our families were not poor. We even have a street named after us.
Bragging and self-aggrandizement are not the signs of a gentleman. Let's keep to the facts, Samuel.
Well, I'll try. The fact of the matter is we are quite well-to-do, rich, wanting for nothing.
Now, Samuel, that was due to hard work on my part. I moved to Chester when I was 19, looking for work and romance, the common things of a young man in the 1830s. I was well educated, and though I didn't pay much, I began my career as a school teacher. I boarded with folks and thought I was important to my community, but my career garnered no respect, and I didn't make much money.
This is the self-made man story.
Laugh if you want, but this is the true journey of success made in America. Listen, and you may learn something. I clerked with the store in Chester of the Tubbs family, and then with Mr. Fowler for 20 years.
That is where you met Mother. Is that not correct?
You have a good memory, son. Yes, at work. I met the lovely Juliet Gould of Chester. She was nearly a year older than I, but to me, she was a peach, and we fell in love. We were married in 1842 and settled into a normal routine. She took care of the house, met all of my needs for companionship, and made sure that I was well fed. During our years in Chester, many men tried to have me serve at a town office, but I refused to serve.
That doesn't sound like you. You're always busy in politics as far back as I can remember. Did you fight in the war between the states?
No, I didn't. You were still a young boy, having been born in 1852, and Juliet didn't want me to go. I was nearly 50 and we had just moved to Glens Falls, and I felt I could be a better service raising funds for the war effort. I served as the Internal Revenue and Loan Collector for Glens Falls during the conflict.
But why did we move here to Glens Falls?
Your mother had tired of life in the small town of Chester and thought we'd have a better opportunity in a larger community. I was ready to start again, and we had saved a small nest egg, but I wanted to branch out into public service, maybe run for Senate. Sadly, Mother had died and Father was not well, and they lived next door to us. We wanted a house that was big enough for all of us and where we could take care of Father. So we built a large 5-bay, 2-story, gabled roof, vernacular brick residence with a 1-story entrance and a portico. In Chester, this house would have stood out and been deemed showy. In Glens Falls, it was a common home.
I remember it was very large and served us well into life. A beautiful and splendid place to live from boyhood to old age, which I did. But Grandpa died in 1861, the year we moved in. He didn't have much time to enjoy it.
Sadly, it's true. But you lived here for your whole life. And when they brought you here, your children sold the home to the Sullivan and Minahan as a funeral home, and they ran it as a funeral home for 30 years. But now back to my story. When I first came to Glens Falls, I took work with David and Hiram Roberts in a general mercantile store. As I ran the business, I saw them becoming involved in the politics of Glens Falls. They served as selectmen and elected officials. They came and asked me if I wanted to run for the village board, and I gladly jumped at the chance. And in 1866, I served as president of the village board of Glens Falls for 1 term. I'd only been here for 7 years.
You made me very proud, Father. You're a good Republican, and you had taken the job of loan commissioner that nobody else wanted. Internal Revenue and Loan Collector? You're lucky people wanted anything to do with you. You also served 2 terms as Queensbury town supervisor. I remember how all this politicking brought you status, and you were soon asked to become a partner at the Jointa Lime Company. And by 1876, you had obtained 25% of their stock that was worth over $300,000.
I had made a lot of good investments, but that was the best one at the time. I loved how I could sit on the porch of our home on Park Street and look out and see the quarry. We joined the Presbyterian Church, and I became involved with the building committee, and I served for 20 years as a director of the Glens National Bank.
He may not say this himself, but I will. Father enjoyed being rich and enjoyed earning money, and he made sure I received training in bookkeeping and set me up working with him at the Jointa Lime Company.
Luckily, you married Jenny Smith. You brought her into our home as your wife, and you raised your family there. I was thrilled to be alive to see the birth of my 3 beautiful granddaughters, Juliet, Alice, and Mary. I did not get to see them grow up. I died and was brought here in 1893.
Father left me a wonderful legacy, both money and power. I became director of the White Bank, the First National Bank, and was also treasurer of the Jointa Lime Company, the Waite Lime Company, and the Glens Falls Dairy. I was also president of the Portland Cement Company, a good Presbyterian and a good Republican, but I never ran for office.
My lovely wife lived only 2 years after my death, and sadly in 1900, Samuel's wife Jenny became ill. The girls were in their early teen years. He called on her mother, Mary Smith, and our cousin, Lewis and Whitney, and along with the help from Hannah Gurney, they nursed her for 2 years. But she died at age 41 and was brought here in 1901.
It was a crushing blow to the whole family, but what kept us together was the old house on Park Street. It was strong, and it made us strong. We made it through with love and compassion, but luckily my daughters made fine lives for themselves. My daughter, Juliet, named for her grandmother, married Frederick Chapman, and it is through her generosity that their house was donated to the local association and became the Chapman Historical Museum. Old houses meant much to us.
Thanks for listening to us. We enjoyed it a great deal.
I agree with you, Dad.
Yes, indeed, son.